Today on the newscast, the U.S. and British navies face off against Iranian attack boats in the Strait of Hormuz. Plus, with so much internal discord, will Israel be able to unite in the face of growing external threats, chief among them, Iran's nuclear program? Get all the breaking details next. Hey folks, Eric Stakelbeck here. Welcome to the Watchman newscast. We've talked often here over the months on the newscast about this shadow war at sea between Israel and Iran, with Iran even launching drones at Israeli-owned shipping in the Middle East, oftentimes fatal attacks that Iran has carried out. Israel many times has responded in kind and targeted Iranian shipping. So there has been this tit for tat in the waters of the Persian Gulf, the Red Sea, and beyond between Israel and Iran. But remember, folks, the U.S. and Iran have also had some head-to-head encounters over the years in the Persian Gulf and beyond. And we've got another instance of that occurred yesterday, Sunday, June 4th. We're going to break that down in a minute. Plus, some very interesting comments made today by former Israeli Defense Minister Benny Gantz, who is now the chief opposition leader. He was speaking at the Jerusalem Post conference in New York, and we've talked a bunch here in the newscast about the possibility of Israel's external enemies taking advantage of the continued political discord and the large demonstrations going on in Israel right now. Well, Benny Gantz commented on that. I'm going to share what he said. Before we break all of that down, I just want to encourage you, if you have not yet, to subscribe to the Watchman News channel right here on YouTube and click the notification bell so you get alerts every time a new video is posted. Folks, we are bringing you the kinds of stories that you're just not hearing in the mainstream media. You may not have heard that yesterday, June 4th, our top story today, the U.S. and British navies confronted 3 Iranian attack boats in that vital strategic waterway, the Strait of Hormuz. Now, here is the backstory. There was a merchant vessel, an unidentified so far merchant vessel, reportedly marked with the flag of the Marshall Islands. It was traveling through the Strait of Hormuz when 3 Iranian attack boats approached it and surrounded it. Now, what do I mean by Iranian attack boats? Folks, these are basically large speedboats that enable Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps, that's who mans these speedboats, these attack boats, enables them to move very swiftly in large numbers, if there's several of these attack boats, and surround a vehicle, or a vessel, I should say, and then seize it. And obviously, these attack boats, there's weapons on board. These Revolutionary Guards members are armed, and they will board a merchant vessel, any kind of vessel, a tanker, and they will seize it. We've seen this already. Last month, we saw 2 oil tankers seized by Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guards in the waters of the Middle East. So this happens on a pretty regular basis, and many times these Iranian attack boats will come very close to U.S. vessels in the Persian Gulf, the Gulf of Oman, and beyond. And there have been some very, very tense encounters between Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps and the U.S. Navy. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps are saying, okay, what can we get away with, in essence? And they're doing the same thing with Israel right now when you see Iran's proxies, which surround Israel on all sides, launching rockets and missiles. Iran is saying, okay, how far can we go until whether the U.S. or the Zionist entity, as they call it, Israel, respond, and how forcefully will they respond? Folks, make no mistake about it. The leaders in Iran, not to mention China, Russia, North Korea, and elsewhere, are watching very closely. They saw what happened when it comes to the U.S. They saw what unfolded in Afghanistan in August 2021, and it gave them confidence and boldness. And we're seeing the way Iran operates in the waters of the Middle East vis-a-vis the United States. Let's bring it up to what happened on Sunday, June 4th. The U.S. and British navies were watching as these 3 Iranian attack boats surrounded a merchant vessel in the Strait of Hormuz, and the U.S. and a British destroyer responded, confronted these Iranian attack boats, and essentially scared them away. After a time, after about an hour or so, reportedly, these Iranian attack boats left the scene, and the merchant vessel was unscathed. So that's a big takeaway here. No one was hurt. No vessel was seized because, again, as I mentioned a minute ago, many times the Iranian regime will seize these vessels at sea. But hey, the U.S. and Britain, a show of force in their own right here in this case. And this follows a few weeks ago, as we reported here in the newscast, another show of force with the U.S., British, and French navies traveling through the Strait of Hormuz together. That's a very rare move, folks, but all three navies, side by side, traveled through that vital waterway together. Many times, remember, Iran has threatened to shut down the Strait of Hormuz. Obviously, a good chunk of the world's oil supply transits through there every single day, would have a major, major impact on oil and gas prices around the world. So it's good to see Western powers stepping up and at least standing their ground and not allowing Iran to get away with what it's been getting away with, folks, far too often over the years. Again, seizing and menacing merchant vessels, tankers, attacking shipping, and again, directly threatening U.S. Navy ships over the years. And you may say, well, they're just attack boats, they're speedboats. I remind you, in the year 2000, when the USS Cole was attacked by al-Qaeda terrorists, a speedboat was used, a suicide bombing that killed, I believe, 17 U.S. sailors. So these may be, it's not a warship coming at you, but if there are several of them and they are armed to the teeth and they are highly trained as members of Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps are, they can cause a lot of damage. Now, Iran, as yet, I'm coming to you around 1 p.m. Eastern Time on Monday, June 5th. The Iranian regime has not commented on yesterday's incident, but stay tuned. One quick side note before we move on to Benny Gantz's comments. Iran is saying, or an Iranian naval spokesman said over the weekend, that Iran is going to be forming a naval alliance with Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Bahrain, Pakistan, India, and others. Now, none of these countries have responded to this, but two things. Number one, the UAE announced last week, the United Arab Emirates, that it was leaving a naval coalition with the United States. And secondly, of course, Iran and Saudi Arabia normalized relations back in March in a Chinese brokered deal. Would these nations, including the UAE, Bahrain, and Saudi Arabia, which are very, very concerned about the Iranian threat in their midst, would they go in on a naval alliance with the Iranian regime? We'll break that down more, folks, in the days to come. It seems unlikely, folks. Look, I was in Bahrain and the UAE last year meeting with top officials in those countries, and they very plainly expressed their concern about the Iranian threat that lies just across the Persian Gulf from their nations. So one to watch here. Is it at the point for these nations where they're so concerned about Iran in their midst, again, in their backyard, and so lacking in confidence in the United States that they're saying, in a sense, if you can't beat them, join them? Not literally in terms of them having a formal alliance and being ideologically aligned, but think of it more as a non-aggression pact on the part of these nations who are saying, wow, we can't count on the United States to have our backs with the current occupant of the White House if things get really nasty with the Iranian regime and its proxies. So we're watching that closely, which brings us to our last point before we go. Former Defense Minister Benny Gantz, now head of the opposition to current Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, gave a speech today at the annual Jerusalem Post Conference in New York City. He touched on the demonstrations ongoing in Israel. Now, we have said many times here in the newscast that Israel's enemies are watching this very closely, and they are salivating. They see Israel as vulnerable and weakened with so much internal discord. A house divided against itself cannot stand, right? Well, Iran and its proxies are looking to take advantage of that. Gantz said not so fast. He said he was very confident that Israelis of all political stripes and all backgrounds and all beliefs would unite in the face of a nuclear Iran and in the face of what Israeli leaders are increasingly saying looks like a looming multi-front war against Iran and its proxies. That ring of fire that surrounds Israel, will it ignite? Benny Gantz said today he believes, again, Israelis will put aside their differences and unite against these threats when the rubber hits the road and things get really serious. And they're serious already, but I mean when it comes to the point of no return and the moment of reckoning arrives, What do you think? I would love to hear your thoughts on this. Will Israel, as it always has in the past, be able to put aside differences when it has to face down external enemies, or is the moment we're in right now different? I want to discuss this in depth, the results. You're going to leave your comments here, I hope, on this Wednesday's live stream. That's Wednesday, June 7th, right here on the channel between 4 and 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Hey, leave your comments. Let's pick this up in our live stream Wednesday. We'll have a live chat, and I want to get some results on what you think. Will Israel unite, or is it too divided right now to stand strong against external enemies? What do you think? I've got some thoughts on it that I'll share on Wednesday, and we'll, of course, be back with you tomorrow as well, Tuesday, June 6th. But every Wednesday, usually, we do that 1-hour live stream. It's a lot of fun. We encourage you to join us for that. Until tomorrow, thanks so much for joining us here on the Watchman Newscast. God bless you. And remember, never hold your peace. Hey everyone, thanks for checking out the Watchman Newscast. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so you never miss an upload, and tap the bell icon so you're notified every time a new video is posted. And don't forget to share your thoughts, insights, and comments below. Thanks for watching. We'll see you back here tomorrow.